Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and today we are diving into something so extraordinary, so unbelievably jaw-dropping, that by the time this video is over, you are going to rush to every coin jar, every old drawer, every forgotten piggy bank in your house, because what we are about to reveal could literally change your life forever. Imagine holding a tiny copper penny in the palm of your hand, a coin so small you could lose it between your couch cushions, a coin that most people would toss into a tip jar without a second thought. And yet, that single penny, that one little disc of metal, could be worth $5.9 million. Yes, you heard that right. $5.9 million. We are talking about the legendary, the mythical, the absolutely breathtaking 1944 wheat penny, one of the most talked about, most hunted, most fiercely coveted coins in all of American numismatic history, and today we are going to tell you everything about it. But before we go any further, I want you to do something for me right now. Stay with us until the very end of this video, because we are not just covering one jaw-dropping coin today. Oh no, we have got another coin coming up later in this video that is so shocking, so unbelievably rare, that even seasoned coin collectors have been left completely speechless when they heard about it, and trust me, you do not want to miss that. So keep watching, do not touch that back button, because what is coming later might be even more incredible than what you are about to hear right now. So let us go back, all the way back to the year 1944, because to truly understand why this penny is worth nearly $6 million, you have to understand the world it was born into. The year 1944 was a time of absolute upheaval. World War II was raging across Europe, and the Pacific. American soldiers were storming beaches, crossing rivers of fire and sacrificing everything for freedom, and back home, the entire country had mobilized. Every factory, every mint, every resource was being directed toward the war effort. Now here is where things get absolutely fascinating. In 1943, the United States Mint made one of the most dramatic decisions in its entire history. Because copper was desperately needed for the war, for shell casings, for ammunition, for military equipment, the Mint switched penny production from copper to zinc-coated steel. That is right, in 1943, your ordinary penny became a steel penny, a shiny silvery disc that looked more like a dime than a cent, and millions of Americans were completely thrown off by it. But then, in 1944, the war effort had progressed. Copper was made available again through recycled shell casings. Yes, they were literally melting down spent ammunition shells to make your pennies, and so the Mint switched back to copper. And this is where the magic happens. This is where history, human error, and extraordinary fortune collide in the most spectacular way possible. You see, when the Denver Mint made that transition back to copper in 1944, a small number of steel planchets, the blank coin discs left over from 1943 production, were still sitting in the production area. And somehow, through the beautiful chaos of wartime manufacturing, a tiny handful of those leftover 1943 steel planchets got fed into the coin press alongside the new copper planchets, and they were struck with the 1944 dies, creating a coin that should have never existed. A 1944 penny struck on a 1943 steel blank at the Denver Mint, bearing the D Mint mark, the 1944 D Steel Wheat Penny. Now, let us be crystal clear here, because this is incredibly important. The 1944 D Steel Wheat Penny is one of the rarest mint error coins in the entire history of American coinage. We are talking about an estimated population of perhaps 7 known specimens in the entire world. 7. When you think about the billions of pennies that rolled out of the Denver Mint in 1944, the idea that only a handful of these ghostly steel survivors exist is almost incomprehensible. And because of that rarity, because of that impossible-to-replicate combination of historical context, wartime drama, and minting error, the value of the finest known example has been estimated at up to $5.9 million. Let that sink in. A penny. 1 cent. $5,900,000. The story of how these coins have been discovered over the decades is the stuff of absolute legend. Ordinary people, Not professional treasure hunters, not wealthy collectors with magnifying glasses and laboratory equipment. Just regular, everyday Americans going through old coin jars, sorting through change at estate sales, digging through their grandparents' belongings, suddenly realizing they were holding something beyond extraordinary. There is something deeply emotional about that image, isn't there? Because it means that right now, as you are watching this video, there could be one of these coins sitting undetected somewhere, maybe in a collection that hasn't been touched in decades, maybe in a jar on someone's kitchen counter, maybe even tucked into an old wallet at the back of a closet. The coin does not announce itself. It does not glow or sing or float. It looks, at first glance, like just another old penny, slightly different in color, slightly different in weight, but nothing that would immediately scream $5 million to the untrained eye. And that is exactly what makes it so dangerous to overlook. Now, how do you identify a 1944 steel wheat penny if you think you might have one? First, look at the date. It must say 1944. Second, look below the date on the right side. You should see a small D, confirming it was minted in Denver. Third, and this is the crucial test, grab a magnet. A genuine copper penny will not stick to a magnet, but a steel planchet will. If your 1944 D penny sticks to a magnet, your hands might be trembling right now for a very good reason. Now, be careful, there are fakes out there. People have been known to alter 1943 steel pennies by changing the date, or to copperplate 1943 steel pennies to create convincing fakes. So always have any suspicious coin authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC before you get too excited. But if it passes those tests, congratulations, you may have just found one of the most valuable coins on the planet. The auction history of 1944 steel wheat pennies is nothing short of breathtaking. When these coins have appeared at major auction houses, and they do not appear often, because the known specimens are mostly locked away in serious private collections, the bidding wars that erupt are legendary. Collectors who have spent decades searching for one of these coins do not hold back when one finally surfaces. The prices realized have climbed year after year because the supply is absolutely fixed. There will never be any more 1944 D steel wheat pennies created. But the demand from the global collector community keeps growing with every passing year, with every new generation of numismatists who fall in love with the romance and the history and the sheer impossibility of this coin. Think about the history embedded in every atom of that steel disc. It was created during the most pivotal moment of the 20th century. Born from the machinery of war, a tiny metallic ghost that slipped through the fingers of quality control and survived to tell a story that spans generations. Every single person who has ever held one of these coins has held a piece of history so rare, so specific, so unrepeatable, that it is almost beyond the concept of money. But since we are talking about money, $5.9 million is the kind of figure that buys mansions, yacht fleets, private islands. And it all started with one penny. Now, I promised you something incredible is still coming in this video. And I meant it. Because while the 1944 D wheat penny is absolutely one of the most stunning coins we have ever discussed on this channel, we have got another wheat penny coming up next that is going to blow your mind in a completely different way. I am not going to tell you the value just yet, because I want you to feel that same rush of disbelief that we felt when we first researched it. But what I will tell you is this. It involves another year, another mint, another extraordinary combination of error and rarity, and the story behind it is just as dramatic, just as emotional, just as deeply rooted in American history as this one. You are going to want to be sitting down for it. So do not go anywhere. Keep watching because the next coin is loading up, and once you hear its story, you will never look at old wheat pennies the same way again. And if you have not already, smash that like button, drop a comment below telling us if you have ever found a rare coin in unexpected places. We read every single comment, and subscribe so you never miss another episode of Error Coins Hub. because we are just getting started. Last 1951 wheat penny worth $4 million. And just when you thought we had reached the absolute peak of what a wheat penny could be worth, just when you thought the story of rare American coins could not get any more dramatic or any more unbelievable, here comes the 1951 wheat penny, quietly sitting in the shadows of numismatic history, waiting for its moment, and its moment is right now. For $1 million. For $1 million for a penny minted in 1951. A year that most people associate with post-war optimism, early rock and roll, and the beginning of the golden age of American prosperity. But hidden inside that era of confidence and growth is a coin story so layered, so rich with detail and drama, that it deserves every second of your attention. Let us set the scene. The year is 1951. World War II has been over for 6 years. America is booming. The economy is surging. Families are moving to the suburbs. Cars are getting longer, televisions are entering living rooms for the first time, and at the Denver Mint, millions upon millions of Lincoln Wheat Pennies are rolling off the presses every single day, destined to jingle in pockets and purses across the country, most of them never to be thought about twice. But somewhere in that river of coins, something went wrong, or perhaps something went spectacularly right, depending on how you look at it. The 1951 wheat penny that commands the attention of serious collectors today is not just any ordinary example of that year's Denver mintage. It is a coin born from a specific, extraordinary combination of die quality, strike characteristics, planchet anomalies, and preservation circumstances that have made the finest known examples essentially priceless in practical terms. When collectors and grading experts examine the highest grade 1951 wheat pennies under magnification, what they find is a coin that tells a story of mechanical precision colliding with human imperfection in the most beautiful way possible. The Denver Mint in 1951 was operating at tremendous output, pushing through enormous quantities of coins to meet the nation's commercial demands, and in that environment of high-volume production, controlling the consistency of every single strike, every single die, every single planchet was an enormous challenge. And it is precisely in those gaps, those moments of controlled chaos, that numismatic legend is born. The specific characteristics that make the rarest 1951 wheat pennies worth millions include the condition of the coin, the sharpness of the strike, the luster of the original mint surface, and in some documented cases, specific die varieties and doubling errors that create visual effects visible under magnification, a doubling of Lincoln's portrait, a ghost image along the lettering, a faint second impression that tells you this coin was kissed by the die in a way that almost never happened. Doubling errors occur when the working die itself receives a slightly misaligned impression during the hubbing process, creating a die that then imprints that doubling onto every coin it strikes, making double die varieties traceable, cataloged, and enormously valuable when found in exceptional condition. The 1951 wheat penny with significant doubling, found in mint state condition, graded by PCGS or NGC in the upper echelons of their scale, MS65, MS66, MS67, represents a coin that the overwhelming majority of collectors will spend their entire lifetime searching for without ever finding. When you combine the rarity of the specific die variety with the near impossibility of finding a 1951 penny that has survived 70-plus years in pristine, uncirculated, original surface condition, you begin to understand why the price tag climbs toward that extraordinary $4 million figure. Think about what happens to a coin in circulation. It gets handled thousands of times, rubbed by fingers, dropped on floors, scratched in pockets alongside keys and other coins, passed through vending machines, washed in laundry, buried in the earth, corroded by moisture. The forces working against the survival of a mint state coin over more than 7 decades are almost overwhelming. And yet, occasionally, by some miracle of careful storage, by some quirk of fate where a coin was set aside the day it was minted and never touched again, Examples survive in conditions that take your breath away. Lincoln's portrait razor sharp, the wheat stalks on the reverse so crisp you could count every grain. The original red mint luster blazing like the coin was struck this morning. These are the coins that make grown adults cry at auction, that make professional numismatists reach for their phones to call their most serious clients at midnight. The discovery stories surrounding high-grade 1951 D wheat pennies are the kind of tales that keep the coin-collecting community alive with hope and passion. There are stories, real, documented accounts of coins found in original bank rolls that had been stored in bank vaults for decades, untouched and forgotten until an estate was settled or a small bank branch was liquidated. There are stories of coins found in the collections of ordinary people who simply liked the look of bright, shiny pennies and set them aside, never knowing they were preserving something of extraordinary value. There are stories of dealers buying old lots of coins at flea markets for a few dollars and discovering buried within them a specimen that would go on to sell for life-changing money. And every one of those stories carries the same electric undercurrent. This could happen to you, right now, today. Because the reality of rare coin collecting is that unlike paintings locked in museums or jewels sealed in vaults, these coins circulated. They passed through real hands. They sat in real jars. They got tucked into real drawers and forgotten in real attics. They are out there. Not all of them, not most of them, but some of them, still waiting to be found. The 1951 D wheat penny is especially tantalizing because 1951 is late enough in the Lincoln Wheat Penny series that people might be tempted to dismiss it as too recent to be particularly valuable. The Wheat Penny series ran from 1909, when Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Lincoln first appeared on the cent, all the way to 1958, when the design was replaced by the memorial reverse we know today. In those 50 years of production, billions of coins were made, and yet the specific combination of date, mint mark, die variety, and preservation grade that creates a multi-million-dollar coin is so rare that entire careers have been built around the search for just a few specimens. The auction records for top-grade 1951 D wheat pennies tell a story of steadily escalating values, with each major sale setting a new benchmark and drawing fresh attention from collectors who had never previously considered a 1951 cent worth serious money. When a coin sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, it sparks a wave of activity. People digging out old collections, submitting coins for grading, searching through inherited belongings with new eyes and new urgency. And occasionally, that wave of activity surfaces something previously unknown. A coin that had been sitting quietly for decades suddenly emerging into the light and rewriting the record books. The grading of a 1951 D wheat penny by PCGS or NGC is not merely a formality. It is a transformative event. The moment a coin is encapsulated in one of those tamper-evident plastic holders with a grade of MS66 red or higher, its identity is permanently established, its value is anchored to a specific point on the numismatic scale, and its place in the history of American coinage is secured. That little plastic slab is a passport to the highest levels of the rare coin market, where buyers from around the world compete for specimens of proven quality and authenticity. And for the finest known examples of the 1951 D wheat penny, that passport leads to a destination worth $4 million. Think about what $4 million means in human terms, the educations it could fund, the homes it could build, the futures it could reshape, and then think about the fact that all of that value is compressed into a coin smaller than your thumbnail, lighter than a paperclip, made of copper and zinc and the invisible weight of history. It is one of the most profound paradoxes in the world of collecting. The smaller the object, sometimes the greater the fortune it contains. As we close out today's extraordinary journey through two of the most breathtaking wheat pennies ever to come out of the United States Mint, I want you to feel something. Not just excitement, not just curiosity, but real, genuine possibility. because the story of rare coins is ultimately a story about ordinary people stumbling into extraordinary moments, about the universe hiding fortunes in plain sight and waiting for someone paying close enough attention to notice. The 1944 D Wheat penny worth nearly $6 million and the 1951 D Wheat penny worth $4 million are not abstract treasures locked away in some distant world. They are coins that once jangled in real pockets, sat in real change jars, passed through real hands just like yours. So the next time you come across an old wheat penny, and they do still turn up in old houses and estate sales and forgotten collections, take a moment. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Feel the weight. Run a magnet over it. Because somewhere out there, one of these coins is still waiting. And the person who finds it is going to have a story to tell for the rest of their life. Thank you so much for watching Error Coins Hub all the way to the end. If you made it here, you are exactly the kind of coin lover this channel was made for. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment about the most valuable coin you have ever found. Share this video with someone who loves coins or history or just the thrill of an impossible discovery. And we will see you in the next one, where the treasures only get more extraordinary.